Hello my dear students, in today's class we are going to start a new chapter which is the Enchanted Pool. Now here, before we begin this chapter, this chapter actually has a lot of introductory things that I need to tell you. It has a background which you should understand, then only we shall be going to the story. Okay. So the first thing that you need to know about this chapter is that this one is a retelling of the story. This is a retelling of the story which is derived from Mahabharata, the great epic. So here it has been written by Chakrabarti Raja Gopalachari. Just to give a very quick introduction to the author. He was a versatile genius, you can say, in a sense, a versatile genius who had lots of talent. He was related to the Indian independence struggle. He was a politician. He was a writer. He was a statesman. So lots of identities are there. But the most recognized identity of Chakrabarti Raja Gopalachari was that he was the last Governor General, and also he was a bilingual writer. Bilingual writer means he used to write in English as well as he used to write in Tamil. Now his Tamil writings gave him much fame. Actually, he got the Sahitya Academy Award for his Tamil writing. Now this story, the Enchanted Pool, this is a retelling of the story. That means he has taken the concept from Mahabharata and he is trying to retell the story. He is trying to represent the story in a new way. Now, before we start the chapter, let me tell you that this story, actually the Enchanted Pool, here it has a lots of background. If you go to the background of the story, you will be finding that there was, in Mahabharata, there was the cunning man whose name was Sakuni. Okay. Now, in his conspiracy, the Pandavas were called to play the game of dice. Okay. So, they were called to play the game of dice, and in that game of dice, in the cruel conspiracy of Sakuni, they were defeated. The Pandavas were defeated, and as the compensation, or you can say as the bait, so as they lost it, so what was there? They had to go to the jungle, or they have to remain in the jungle for 12 years, and then 1 year there will be the exile period. Now what happened, that during that period, while they went to the jungle, that moment, that period, when it was coming to a close, that means it was the 12th year, so that moment this incident took place. Now first and foremost thing that it shows us is the generosity of the Pandavas, or the kindness of the Pandavas, the nobleness of the Pandavas. That what was happening there, the hermit or the sage, he had a fire kindling model. That means that moment there was no matchsticks and all. So in order to lit up the fire, in order to lit up the light or the fire, so they need to rub the pieces of wood. They need to rub the pieces of wood, which has been called here mechanical friction. Friction means rubbing the two pieces of wood in order to produce the fire. So the hermit or the saint or the sage or the monk, whatever you say him, he used to produce the fire in that way. Now one day the magic deer came. The deer came. Now afterwards, in the course of the story, you will come to know that the deer was none other than Yama himself. So it was a magic deer, and it came just to, you can say, just to test the patience of the Pandavas, or just to test the wisdom of the Pandavas. Now this one, as I told you, it shows the generosity of the Pandavas. At the same time, these 12 years were very much enriching for the Pandavas. Now what happened, they belonged to the royal family, so they remained at the luxurious comfort of their home for so many years. Now what happened, when they went to the jungle, they got different kinds of experiences. They got enriched. They become better version of themselves. They got the better human beings. Okay, so what happened here? Here you will be seeing that they wanted to help the hermit. They wanted to help the sage. Now what happened when they saw that the hermit was asking them to help him? So they ran. They started to run behind that deer, but the deer was a magic deer, and soon the Pandavas had a futile search for the magic deer. They were utterly exhausted. They could not find the magic deer. So that moment, while they were getting very upset, they were getting that they lacked all the cheerfulness. Why? Because they started to think, as I told you, they were very much religious minded. They had all the, you can say, all the sense and sensibilities of a better human being, of a great human being. So what happened? The brothers started to think that we have got deviated from our path of virtue. We are not determined. We could not serve this. We could not serve this kind of a little help to the saint or to the sage. We could not help him in this way. So they started to feel very upset. They started to feel very they lacked all the cheerfulness, and they were utterly exhausted also. Now at that moment, Yudhishthira, the eldest of them, he thought that he should try to restore the cheerfulness in them. So what happened? He asked Nakula, and at the same time he felt very thirsty also. So he thought that if I send them to bring water, then they will be given some task, and then they will be in a mood of activeness once again. So he asked Nakula to see whether there is a water body in the nearby area or not. So he saw by climbing the tree, and he told that there is a water body in the nearby area. So one by one they were going, but while they went there, while they reached there, without answering the question of Yama, because that pool was an enchanted pool. Now, if you come to the title of the story, what is the meaning of enchanted? Enchanted means something, the spell of magic, something which is bewitched kind of. You can say bewitched or a magical, which there is a magic spell on that particular thing, that somebody has casted the magic spell on that particular water. Now, who was that? That was Yama himself. So Yama, he had that magic water, you can say the magic hole, where they went to quench their thirst. Now Yama wanted them to answer the question that he was about to ask them. Now all those questions were very interesting questions. Those were not ordinary questions. Those questions were very much philosophical questions. Those questions needed some sort of religious understanding, some sort of greater wisdom in order to answer those questions. At the same time, the patience of the person will also be tested. The patience of the person. Now here you can say that the main motive of the narrator can be that he wants to draw the comparison between the greatest Yudhishthira and the other four brothers. Okay, now thing was that here it has been shown that in one side there was the arrogance of the brother, who were very much short-tempered, who were impatient, you can say. And on the other side there was the logical, the rational, the superbly cool-minded, the coolest man. Or you can say he was very much logical, he was very much rational, he was very much wise in answering those questions. So these two this comparison has been drawn in order to show that the four brothers, they were in one side, and another, that Yudhishthira, he was totally different. He is, as you know, he is called Dharmaputra. That means the son who is having all, means Yudhishthira's, so he was the most religious one. He always followed the path of virtue, the path of honesty. All these things are there in Yudhishthira. All the greatness, all the stuffs of greatness, all the ingredients of greatness, all the ingredients of truthfulness. Okay, you know that while in one side all the four brothers, they were dead, they could not, they didn't want to answer, they didn't bother to answer Yama's question. But at the other side, you will be seeing Yudhishthira, who was very cool. Though he saw his brothers were lying dead in front of him, he was very much heartbroken, he was very much upset, but at the same time he answered the question of Yama, and at last he got his brothers back. Now here one more thing you will be seeing, while Yama will be asking him that whom should I wake first. Okay, you have four brothers, now whom I should be, any two will be given the lives back. Now Yudhishthira will be choosing Nakula and Sahadeva. Now if you delve deeper into the story of Mahabharata, you will be seeing that here they had two mothers. Okay, so now as you know that their father Pandu, okay, they had Pandu and Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra had 100 sons, and here Pandu, he had 5 sons. Okay, and he had 2 wives. Now the first wife, who was Kunti, she had 3 sons. Okay, she had Yudhishthira, Bhima and Arjuna. And another wife, Madri, she had 2 sons. Okay, Nakula and Sahadeva. Now here you will be seeing that, as you know that the father, that means Pandu, he has died, and also Madri also has accepted the death with her husband. Now here Yudhishthira, when he was asked by Yama that who are the 2 brothers that you want back, so he will be choosing Nakula and Sahadeva. Now here another greatness of Yudhishthira has been shown, the selflessness of him, that he knows that if he chooses his own brother, then the question will be raised against him, that he favored the lives of his brother who were from the same mother. Now that is why he was choosing that Madri's sons, that means Nakula and Sahadeva, should be given back their lives. Now here one more thing of Yudhishthira comes. As I told you, he had all the greatness of character. He had a super cool brain, he had superb wisdom, he was very much logical, he was very much rational, he was very much selfless, he was very much patient, he was very much religious minded, he gave respect to everyone, each and everyone. So all these greatness have been shown here regarding the character of Yudhishthira. And it shows the moral character of him, it shows the philosophical perspective that he had towards life. He had all the philosophical perspective towards life. He could think it beyond the human territory. He could think everything in a very logical, in a very rational, in a very well organized way. Okay, so this one has been there, and you will be seeing that afterwards, when Yama will be convinced by the behavior of Yudhishthira, he will be giving back the lives of all the brothers. All the brothers will be given lives, and Yudhishthira will also be getting the blessing from Yama that the remaining days of their exile will be spent very securely. Yama will be blessing them that you can spend all the remaining days of your exile in a very safe way. So this way the story will end up, and the story will give you all the moral lessons that it will be asked about. Some questions, some interesting question answers will be there from this chapter, which we shall be explaining one by one. Okay, so here this is all about the story. Okay, this is all about the background of the story. Now here when we will start the chapter, as I told you, the name of the chapter is the Enchanted Pool, the title. So you should remember the meaning of enchanted, which is which is under the magical spell or something which is magical, enchanted. Okay, now here you will be seeing a riddle is given. Okay, a riddle is given here. I never was and am always to be. No one ever saw me, nor ever will. And yet I am the hope of all to live and breathe on this earthly ball. Okay, so the riddle is given and we have to find out the answer. As you know that riddle, one-liners or two-liners will be given where there will be a particular word. Okay, it is given in newspaper also, that from up to down and from side by side. So this kind of riddle is given. So here you will be finding that it has been given, I never was and am always to be. Everybody thinks that it is always to be. Okay, and no one ever saw him, no one ever saw it. Okay, no, and nor ever will, and no one will be able to see him. And yet I'm the hope of all. But yes, obviously we all have in our mind or in our heart, we have a great hope for that, and to live and breathe on this earthly ball. And if you want to live on this, in this earth, if you want to survive on this earth, you always cherish that kind of a desire, that kind of a thing. Now what is that? That is tomorrow, you can say. That is, you can say future. Okay, so the word will be either tomorrow, or you can write future, or the upcoming time. So that means nobody, it was never there, and it is always to be. That means tomorrow is always to come, or future is always to come. No one ever saw me, and no one has seen the future, and nor ever will, and no one will be able to see the future also. And yet I am the hope of all, and yet everybody has that kind of an optimism. Okay, we tell it optimism, the positive hope that we all have in our mind. We all have the sense of optimism. Okay, optimism in our mind, we all have that hope against hope, or we say no, hope against hope. That whatever is today, tomorrow will be far better than that. Whatever I am today, tomorrow I shall be discovering myself to be, you can say, a far better person than today. So this one hope everybody is cherishing in their heart, to live and breathe on this earthly ball, to survive on this earth, to survive on this earthly ball. Everybody has this hope. Okay, so this one, the answer, the word will be future. Okay, or you can say upcoming time, or you can say tomorrow, but future is the most appropriate word it will be. Okay, it will be future, the word. Okay, so just little bit of story, the first paragraph, let us start, and then tomorrow or the next class we shall be continuing it. So it has been given. Let's read a story from the Mahabharata that reflects the wisdom of Yudhishthira. But not only the wisdom, I told you many other attributes which you will be writing here. So you will be seeing here, this one, as I told you, is a retelling of the story. It is not originally written by Chakravarti Raja Gopalachari. It is said it has been written by Vyasdev. So Mahabharata, and Chakravarti Raja Gopalachari is just representing the story, or you can say retelling us the story. Okay, so the story starts here. The stipulated period of 12 years, stipulated, that means agreemented, or you can say the conditioned, or you can say the time, the specified time. Okay, set in the agreement, set or specified in an agreement, or you can say mentioned in an agreement, or you can say the specifically given time period, stipulated time. Okay, stipulated period of 12 years was drawing to a close. That means it was almost towards the verge of end. The 12 years, it was the 12th year. It was the 12th year, and it was drawing towards a close. That means the 12 years were going to be completed. One day, a deer was rubbing itself against a sage's fire-kindling mortar. The deer was rubbing itself on the sage's fire-kindling mortar. I told you what is fire-kindling mortar. Kindling, kindling, producing here. So in order to produce the fire, the says used to have two pieces, or you can say the wood, which he will be rubbing against each other, which he will be rubbing like this, and it will be producing the fire. Okay, so fire kindling motor, as it turned to go, just about to go, the motor got entangled. Entangled means got attached, you can say, or got remained attached in its horn, the horns of the deer, and the frightened animal fled wildly with it into the forest. The frightened animal fled wildly. Fled means ran away, went from there, fled wildly from that place into the forest, into the jungle, into the, you can say, into the deep forest. In those days, matches were unknown. In those days, matchsticks were not invented, were unknown, and fire was kindled with pieces of wood, and fire was produced with two pieces of wood by mechanical friction. Friction means rubbing, okay? Friction, F-R-I-C-T-I-O-N. Friction means rubbing. So mechanical friction, that means it was manually rubbed. It was manually rubbed in order to produce the fire. You know, sometimes in the jungle, or two trees, when they will be falling together and they will be getting rubbed against each other, it can also burn the entire forest. Okay. Alas, the deer is running away with my fire kindler. So who is saying this? The says, or the hermit is saying this, that the deer is running away with my fire kindler. Shouted the sage, and rushed towards the Pandavas for help in his distress, in his moment of great worry. He wanted that the Pandavas should come forward and help him, because he knew that the Pandavas were very much religious minded. They were having a, you can say, a humanitarian attitude towards everything, towards everybody. They were very much kind-hearted, soft-hearted. So he wanted that the Pandavas, and he knew that the Pandavas will obviously extend their help towards this saint, or towards this hermit, or towards this sage. So he went very hurriedly. He went to them and he asked them that, please help me out. The Pandavas pursued the animal, but it was a magic deer. I told you today that it was a magic deer, and it was none other than Yama in disguise. Yama took the form of the magic deer just to draw the attention of the Pandavas, or just to give it that, just to lead them, or just to give it the backdrop of the story, so that they can be led to that water pool, to that pool. Okay. Until and unless they are exhausted, they become very much thirsty, then they will not come to the pool. So Yama's intention was that he first made them exhausted, he first made them thirsty, and while they were in desperate search of water, they reached the pool. He wanted to test their perseverance. He wanted to test their patience. Okay, the patience and perseverance, both the things will be tested here, and at the same time the wisdom, the philosophical or rationality, everything will be tested by Yama here. Which spade in great leaps. Okay, spade, actually here the word speed, S-P-E-E-D, the word speed has been made a verb. As you know, speed here is a noun, speedy is adjective. Now speed, it speeds down. You can say, if had it been used as a verb, then it would be, the deer speeds down into the forest. In simple present tense we can say the deer speeds down to the forest, but here it has been used in the simple past tense, and it has been said that it's spade. So from the word S-P-E-E-D, speed, which is a noun, the noun has been made a verb here. As you know, water, this one is a noun, but we can make it a verb also, like I was watering the plants. I was watering the plants. When I will say this one, that means watering here is a verb. When I will say I water the plants every day, That means water here is a verb. Now when I will say the same thing, that I give water to my plants, that means water is noun here. So same thing has been done here. Speed, S-P-E-E-D, speed, which is a noun, has been made a verb here in simple past tense. The deer which sped in great leaps, which ran, which hurried into the forest in a great leaps, leaping. That means jumping. It's running. Its fast movement has been said as leaping. Okay, and bounced, leaping, great leaps and bounds, decoying the Pandavas, befooling the Pandavas, or leaving them much behind. Okay, so misleading them, befooling them. Okay, because the Pandavas could never catch it, the Pandavas could never catch it. Why? Because it was a magic deer. It got vanished into the forest. It got vanished somewhere. It disappeared. So it was a futile search for the Pandavas, which was none but Yama himself, and it was all because he wanted to make them exhausted and thirsty. Pandavas and into the forest and then disappeared, and it got disappeared totally. Okay, so we shall be stopping here, and the next day we shall be continuing from here. This is a very interesting story. I would suggest everybody that you once go through the story. And one more thing I need to tell you, that along with this one I shall be giving you one link. Maybe in the description box I shall be giving you under this video, or you can also find it in the study material. I shall be mentioning the link where you will be seeing the film version of this particular story. Though that particular thing will be in Hindi, but some subtitles will be given in English, so you can try to understand it from there. Also, you will be seeing that Hindi part, you can understand the background of the story. So it has been enacted by some famous actors. So I shall be giving all those things, that the Mahabharata story which is there, I shall be giving you along with this video in the description box. You check the link from where, before you start reading the chapter, you want to watch that one. Okay, it will help you to understand the story in a more vivid and clear way. Okay, so the same link I shall be giving in your study material also. Thank you. Have a very nice day. Thank you once again.